Hey everyone, welcome back to the Put Yourself First podcast. I am about to share with you the 5 mistakes that I made when I was struggling with fear of judgment of other people's opinions. I know this is one of the biggest fears and limiting beliefs, blocks that my clients deal with, maybe you're dealing with right now. And I have cleared this. I've worked using all of my tools to clear this, and I want to share 5 of the biggest mistakes I was making with you. Tune in and see if you resonate with one of these. So mistake number 1 was when I was struggling with fear of judgment, didn't put myself out there and ask for what I wanted. And as you know, if you don't ask, you don't get. I would be at, say, a networking event, and not one single person there would know that I was a business owner or what I did in my business. I would not tell friends and family about my business goals or about my personal goals. I would keep everything to myself, and all this was doing was keeping me hidden away from the world, and essentially just putting off my dreams coming to life. Because when you're scared of someone else's opinion of judgment, you aren't going to reach out to them. You aren't going to ask for help. And you're going to miss out on that help. You're going to miss out on that support that you deserve, want, and also maybe even need with your goals. You are not an island, and we all know that we want and need community. We need like-minded people to help uplift us. And so a big mistake I made was taking that fear of judgment and allowing it to make me hide away from the world. And when I was able to heal and clear that, and I was able to ask for help, I was able to reach out to others, I started gaining momentum. I started building community. I started meeting the right person who introduced me to someone else, this opportunity came about because of that introduction or whatever it might be. But if I had just stayed making that mistake and not reaching out, and maybe you're doing this right now with one of your goals, I wouldn't have been able to move forward with mine, because I would have stayed worrying about what they're going to think if I share my goal with them, if I ask them for help. So that's mistake number 1. Mistake number 2, and this is a really juicy one, I assumed the worst of people. Because I was scared of judgment, I projected that fear of judgment onto everyone else. And maybe right now you're doing this where you're not worried about what people think based in fact. Maybe from 1 or 2 people in your life you've received judgment, but are you taking that fear and projecting it out onto other people? Because I was assuming that other people were going to judge me. And in assuming someone's going to judge me and put me down, I'm actually not giving that person an opportunity to be themselves, and to support me and not do that, essentially. And again, the reality was 99% of people have done the opposite of judge me. They've celebrated me. They've been inspired by me. And once again, it was only when I was able to overcome that fear and speak to people, including even my family and friends, my loved ones, about my goals without fearing that they were going to judge me. It was only then that I was able to create the opposite evidence, if you will, for my brain that no, they were so far removed from judging me, they were actually really inspired by me. I actually had a really incredible conversation with my dad recently, and I say recently, it was probably like 6 months ago. For those of you, I obviously don't focus on business coaching anymore, so I talk a lot about mindset and healing work, and this story is really relevant to that, and it's also going to resonate with you if you've ever taken a step and been worried about the opinion of a loved one, whether it be your partner or a parent or a friend or a colleague at work. My dad did not agree with me starting a business. He didn't get it because, like I'm sure many people my age, the previous, our parents and our parents' parents, the opportunities that opened up for them when/if they were able to get to university and to get a great degree and get a good job, that was seen as the pinnacle of security and of success. And so my dad thought that me not choosing to do that and instead go down the route of being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, he was really worried about that. And he didn't agree with that choice, Clearly, he let me do it at the time because here I am. But let me tell you, he didn't get it and he didn't agree. And of course that was really painful and that was really difficult to go through. It is not a nice feeling for anyone to feel like they're letting someone down. No less a parent who, we all have have a primal desire and drive to fit in that way, or to be approved in that way, to be loved and accepted or validated in that way. And so that was a really difficult part of my journey, and I speak about it a lot because following my intuition, I always say it's not always easy. It is always worth it, but it's not always easy because of these moments where one person might judge you. But the reason I share this story here is I could never continue, assuming the worst of someone like my dad and thinking, oh, he doesn't care about my business, he's just going to judge me. What I actually did through a lot of this work, including healing this fear of judgment, was to understand, his view and understand his model of the world. His worldview, his model of success was really secure job where you have a contract and you have a pension scheme and you've got a degree and almost like you've got this protection. And even we know now, the way jobs are changing, where that level of job security in the same way doesn't exist in this generation moving forward. And so even though that now doesn't even exist in the same way that it did for my parents, potentially your parents, your grandparents, etc., where you would have a really fantastic contract where you are tied in to having, an incredible pension scheme or whatever it might be. Even though that doesn't exist now, and me and my dad have had tons of conversations around all of this, what I had to do was really learn to accept and see his view and understand that he actually wasn't judging me. He was trying to protect me. He wanted me to be happy and secure and safe, essentially. And again, a mistake that we can make when we're scared of the judgment, we're scared of someone else's opinion, is assuming the worst of them. And a really healing moment that me and my dad had, for me anyway, was we were in a restaurant and he just turned to me and said, do you know, like, you were right and I'm glad you didn't listen to me. He said, I'm glad you didn't listen to me. I'm glad you went for it, because he basically said in a nutshell, like, I was wrong and you were right. And there's so many examples, I'm sure, of people listening who've had a moment like that where, yes, someone might have had an opinion that felt or was perceived to you like judgment or like rejection or whatever it might be. And if you can move through that and still trust yourself whilst also not assuming the worst of that person and bringing any of that fear into the conversation, if you can heal that, you can actually end up having these moments like months or years down the line that feel really healing, that feel like that moment of everything coming together and this full circle, really beautiful, like, healing moment. And so that was a big mistake that I made initially with fear of judgment, was assuming people were judging me, essentially assuming that people were thinking negatively of me. And like I said, 99% of the case, that just hasn't been true and has not been reality. So that's mistake number 2. Mistake number 3 is a really big one. And some people might struggle to hear this one, and that's okay, because I know that it's damn true for many people, and it was for me. So mistake number 3 that I made was I actually was judging myself. Because I was scared of judgment, I was actually also then judging myself. And an analogy I use for this is a mirror. So much of life is a mirror. What is without is also mirrored back within, and vice versa. So if you're scared of other people judging you, the chances are, because of this mirror analogy, because of the way life mirrors things back and forth, chances are that if you are scared that other people are judging you, chances are you're judging yourself as well. Because that is your reflection. That's what you are mirroring out and reflecting back into the world. And actually, once I was able to really heal the judgment I had with myself, the ways in which I was putting myself down and judging my goals and telling myself, that's stupid, that's not realistic, that's this, that's that, who do you think you are, or whatever it might have been. When I healed that, I was able to approach life with more self-compassion. And all of a sudden, lo and behold, again, it was easier to open up. It was easier to notice that the people around me were being compassionate to me, were being more supportive, were inspired by me, were wanting me to share more. And it's really funny that when you think about it, that it's like the inside out approach to this work has such an impact on how you see the world. Because if you think about that mirror, almost like is the reflection, what is reflected in the mirror is what's looking in the mirror. And so if I'm looking in the mirror and I'm thinking, if I'm also thinking, oh, Kat, like, who are you to have these goals? Who are you to want this? Don't you think this is a bit stupid, or this is ridiculous, or this is, you're never going to achieve this, or whatever it might have been? Don't you think this is too big, too bold, whatever? that is going to be reflected back into my world and show up in the way I perceive and worry about what other people are thinking. And I think judgment always needs to start with self-judgment, because if you're worried about other people judging you, chances are that you've probably got some sort of internalized voice of shame. And that internalized voice could come from a bully at school, it could come from a parent, it could come from, a teacher that was nasty or whatever, like so many different sources that it can come from. But we can internalize this inner critic, as we call it. And so part of healing fear of judgment for me was stopping judging myself. And that is mistake number 3 that I made. Mistake number 4 is a really powerful one, and it's in being scared of other people judging me, I actually put distance between me and the people that I love. By not opening up, I took away an opportunity for us to create deeper intimacy, deeper connection, deeper trust within our relationship via me being vulnerable, me sharing my goals, me asking for help, or me opening to their support or their cheerleading, their celebration. Potentially them sharing their goals, their vulnerability. Because so often when we share something with someone, even if it's scary to us to share it, so often it gives the other person a place and permission to open up as well and be like, well, you've inspired me because this is something I want to do, and I've been scared of people judging me, but I'm here and I want to share it with you now. And when I think about now how deep the intimacy I have, an intimacy not just in that obvious context of sex. Obviously I've grown a lot closer with my partner, but not just in that sense, in an emotional sense, in a spiritual, and that deeper intimacy doesn't just come from physical intimacy. It comes from vulnerability, trust, openness, open-heartedness, safety. Because really opening up to someone creates an environment of safety within a relationship where you're like, can you see me? Can you hear me? Can you really hear about my biggest dreams and deepest desires? If I keep that from you as my partner or my best friend or my colleague, peer, daughter, sister, whatever, I am taking away the opportunity for you to see me in that. And that's really sad when you think about it, because now what I know is that people you love want to support you and want to cheer you on, and letting them in and letting them see you is a gift to them and to you. And for so long I kept that wedge between me and certainly some of my loved ones, because I didn't feel safe to talk about my dreams with them, because I was scared of their judgment, because I was scared of what they might think. And so that's mistake number 4 that I made. And moving into the final mistake I made when I struggled with fear of judgment before I was able to really clear this, which is a lot of the work I do with my clients. I'll talk about that in just a second. Mistake number 5 is that in fearing other people's judgment, I was letting my ego run the show when my higher self actually needed to. Because judgment as a fear, as a concept even, is very much rooted in ego. So ego is responsible for controlling our perception of the world and also how the world perceives us. So ego is like wanting to maintain the image, wanting to maintain how people see us. And so of course ego, is where these types of fears are, because it's really a natural human thing to want to be perceived in a certain way, because we're, through our conditioning, through our culture, all of that, we learn that to be a certain way or to behave a certain way or whatever it might be is going to bring us more love, more acceptance, more validation. It's going to help us fit in. It's going to make our parents proud. It's going to make our friends want to hang out with us or be popular at school or fit in at work, or whatever the situation is that you're fearing judgment and fearing that person's opinion. Your ego is running the show with fear of judgment, and it certainly was running the show with mine, because it's so obsessed with wanting to maintain a certain self-image and not want to stand out, not want to take up more space, not want to be seen as different. Because if you think about judgment, it is an energy of like othering. Because judgment really is just someone not understanding or not seeing things in the same way that you do. And that could be as small and silly as like judging someone on a TV show because you don't like their outfit. The reason you don't like their outfit is because your perception of the world is that a nice outfit looks a certain way. And their perception of the world is that an outfit looks a certain way that they're dressed, and that's cool to them. But those worldviews, those opinions are like misaligned, and judgment is essentially you projecting that onto someone, isn't it? Instead of acceptance, it's projection. It's, well, you're doing this and it's different to me, so I don't like that. I think you should stop. I think that's wrong, or I think you shouldn't do that. Or that's weird, or whatever it might be. And that's a small example of it. But of course, what most people fear judgment with the most, that holds them back, is someone's opinion of their business idea, or them quitting their job and traveling the world, or them not wanting to have kids or wanting to have kids, or their goal to start a poppy sanctuary. I love that. I really hope that that's someone's goal listening. We fear judgment the most about the things that are most important to us, and the things that we already feel scared to do or to take action on, because they're already big, incredible, exciting, life-changing things that we want to do. And so we're already scared about it. It's already new. It's already a big change. Those are the things that we really worry about and that hold us back if we struggle with fear of judgment. Because if your worldview, going back to the example of my dad, if your worldview is success is going to university, getting a really great, going to a good university, getting a really great degree, and getting a really secure, contracted, good job in a corporation, and working on getting a promotion and getting a good salary and all of that. If that is your world view of how you view success in a career context, if another person is wanting to go and join the circus or start a puppy sanctuary or even start an online business or whatever it might be, that person who has that worldview that a good career is this, is potentially going to think, oh, I'm not sure about that. And that's what the ego is so obsessed with, because the fact that person doesn't see that as success, on a logical level, it's okay. But the ego is so obsessed with trying to mold ourselves to not be judged and not come up against that other person's opposing worldview, that it tries to self-sabotage us or keep us back or not tell that person, or what, all the mistakes that I've been sharing, right? So a big mistake I made was letting my ego run the show, and run the show with that driver of wanting to be perceived in a certain way, of not wanting to take up space, of not wanting to stand out, of wanting to fit in. And whilst we don't need to kill your ego or get rid of it or anything like that, because it's really important, and I can do a whole podcast episode on that if you want me to, we don't want the ego running the show. We don't want the ego sat in the driver's seat. We want to allow your higher self to sit in that driver's seat. Because the reality is, there's also a part of me, my higher self, that knows if you agree with me, you agree with me, and if you don't, that's okay. And again, it's coming to that place of acceptance, of accepting that your worldview might be different to mine, and that's okay. And even if someone else came along and their worldview is different to mine, and they judged me and they thought, who is she, what is she doing, blah blah blah, that's okay again. Because your higher self knows that fear of judgment, like the judgment is okay. Like, you will be okay if you are judged. And it's quite literally impossible to not be judged and to not meet anyone ever who doesn't in some way see the world differently to you. And something I really like to remember with this to finish is, think about your favourite food. And even down to like your favourite brand, your favourite flavour of it. So maybe like you're thinking of your favourite chocolate bar brand and the specific flavour you like, or crisps, or like your favourite restaurant that you go to, or whatever it might be. And think about how much you love that food. Like right now, I'm totally thinking of Galaxy chocolate and Nutella, and just, get those flavours in my mouth right now. Thinking about your favourite food. And as you think about that, and as you think, wow, I want some of that right now, hopefully no one listening is really hungry and is like, Kat, you're making me really hungry. I want you to think about the fact that some people don't like that food. some people don't like that food that you love more than any other food in the world. And that if that person was sat opposite you right now and you offered them some of that food, they would go, oh, no, none of that for me. Thanks. And maybe now thinking of a food that you feel that way about. I'm thinking of like really fishy fish, like mackerel or something. And so many people love mackerel, but I don't. Not for me. And that's okay, because you are not going to be to everyone's taste. You are not going to be everyone's flavour, everyone's favourite. Everyone can still enjoy what they enjoy and leave what they don't enjoy. And I think that really speaks as well back around to that 99% of people that I know and love, support me and are inspired by me. Not all of those people 100% agree with my goals or my life choices, in that they wouldn't choose those things for themselves. And that's okay. That doesn't mean that there's something wrong with me, or I shouldn't speak to them about it, or that even that they're going to judge me. Because the right people, if you offer them some Galaxy and they don't like Galaxy, they're just going to go, oh, like, not for me that, thank you, but no thanks. And they're going to move on. Let them. Like, it's okay. It's okay to not do everything and, every single decision in your life be completely aligned with other people, and for you to never have disagreements or never be judged or anything. It's just impossible, literally impossible. And also notice how your opinion, or your brother's opinion, your auntie's opinion, your best friend's opinion, your colleague at work's opinion on Galaxy chocolate does not take away and makes no difference to how fucking great Galaxy chocolate is for you to enjoy. Because it's your damn life and it's your favourite food and you get to enjoy that, and their opinion does not take away from that. And so what I really know to be true is that healing your fear of judgment and learning to accept yourself and others allows you to make peace with all of that, and allows you to continue moving forward and creating your life and building your dreams on purpose. And doing this deeper inner work is going to help you with that. So if you want to clear your fear of judgment and any other blocks that might be holding you back from achieving your goals right now, from moving forward, from taking action, please reach out to me privately to apply for one-to-one coaching so that we can get you moving forward, so that we can clear this, make peace with this, accept this, done, move on. Because you deserve that level of freedom, and that's the depth that we can go to within my one-to-one program. And I'd love to invite you inside and for you to see if it's going to be a perfect fit for you. So to do that, you can email us at support@horrocks.com. You can head to the link in the show notes if you just want to apply straight away and get all the info you need. Or if you would rather reach out via DM and you want a voice note or have questions, a message, reach out to me on Instagram or TikTok. You can just message me directly over there. And thank you so much for listening. I can't wait for those of you who are going to reach out to chat with you. And I really hope this has given you some insight, some permission, some takeaways, some light bulb moments of how you might be making these mistakes based in fear of judgment. And I really hope you have the inspiration and permission to step forward and know that you get to clear that and you get to move on and live your damn life, baby. Enjoying your galaxy, enjoying your favourite flavour, whatever it might be. And I'll speak to you in my next episode.